today's topic, we're going to talk about transportation. How do I get around, and how do other people in rural Colombia basically get around, because you're going to find the same modes of transportation in almost every little pueblo in Colombia. The first way is walking. As you can see now, I'm walking. I'm walking to go meet my boyfriend where he works, and it is very, very common for people to walk everywhere. This is like the lost art form of transportation in the US, if that's where you're from. We don't like to walk anywhere. We get in our cars and drive. Here, I don't have a car. I don't have a driver's license. I don't drive a motorcycle. I don't have a horse. I don't have a bike. So I walk. So walking is one of the biggest forms of transportation here, but that's not saying that you are gonna walk like I would walk to the town. I can. It would take me about 2 hours, but another form of transportation here is hitchhiking. If you're watching this and you're like, but Sarah, every Colombian YouTuber tells me don't hitchhike, and if I see a person with 2 people on a motorcycle, I should be scared. Please, I don't live in the city. City rules are different. Here in the country, if you see someone with 2 people on a motorcycle, that means he is one of 2 things. A very nice person, and he picked somebody up who was hitchhiking, and they're going in the same direction. That person may or may not pay him or her for the ride. I personally have gotten rides from people, have offered them payment, and they tell me no. It depends on the person. That is one type, the people who just volunteer to take you places. And then the second type is we have Moto Taxis and tuk-tuks. These are very, very common. Okay, I should have said, I lied. I don't know if walking is the most common form, but while you're walking, you can get these other forms of transportation. So walking is the path to everything. So now I'm on the main road. Now I'm walking and I see 2 gentlemen standing here waiting. If you're in the city, you're probably like, oh my God, Sarah, be scared. No, they're waiting for the bus. The bus passes every hour, and then the Chiva bus passes, I don't know how often, but it'll pass. So they, the people I just passed are sitting at where the bus will normally stop. Okay, I lied. The bus will stop anywhere. If they see somebody and you flag them out, they will pick you up. That is all over Colombia. I've seen it happen a million times. That is also how I get the bus. If I want to go to the pueblo and I see a bus, a Chiva is like a more of an open bus, and it goes from here to San Rafael, and I think there's one that goes to Granada, and I flag it down, it will take me. I don't know how much it costs. I've never done it. I like to walk. And then there's the second type of bus, the bus that comes and goes to Medellin, which is like the more of a typical bus, like a Greyhound kind of thing if you're in the US. And all I have to do is flag that one down, and they will take me. Yet again, you just give, the buses you definitely will have to pay. They don't have a set rate. One day I got on the bus, it dropped me off somewhere, the guy didn't tell me how much. I just know how much it costs to get from point A to point B, and I give them that much. They won't say anything. I don't even know if the bus drivers like record that they pick up people or if they just keep the cash. I'm assuming there is a system, but I have no idea. So, but once you've taken like the transportation enough, it's kind of similar everywhere. That is walking, that leads you to getting a motorcycle, getting a tuk-tuk, getting a bus. So right there are 3 forms of transportation. If you're in the US, I know you can walk for hours. No one's gonna pick you up because they're afraid of you. And it sounds like, I watch a lot of videos about Colombia and Medellin and city living. I've been to all the big cities here, and I have never hitchhiked or got picked up in a city. So I just don't think that's something that is super common there. and that you're gonna see, because in the cities you have Uber. And there are a couple other ways of transportation. Bicycles. A lot of people here have bikes. I might actually get a bike. I just haven't done it yet. I'm not sure if I'll actually go to town on a bike because we live kind of far, but it'd be really good exercise. So a lot of people do bike here. They bike, they put their groceries on, and you will see people biking. Very common, even on these big roads. And you may be thinking, but you're on like a major road, and I'm on like the main road into San Carlos, into town. And yes, all of the transportation, you'll see cars going by, buses going by, big trucks going by. I've never seen anybody hit a dog. There's cows, horses, everything on this road. And they seem you're like, they're driving very fast and reckless. They're just used to it. So I can be walking and I never stress about getting hit or anything. If I'm in the US and I'm walking on a street like this, I would be terrified that someone's gonna hit me and not see me because they're not paying attention here. I don't know, I just don't ever feel like that. Okay, the last form of transportation here in country living is horses, horseback. People ride their horses into town. They ride their horses to the bar. They ride their horses to get things. You will see in these like small mountain towns, houses on the tops of mountains. You probably can't see it now because, oh, you probably can't see it because they're so far away. But when I'm looking and I see a house sitting on top of a mountain, I see a bunch actually. And the only way to get to those houses is by walking. And some of these trails are long. Sometimes it takes you 45 minutes to an hour to walk to your house from the main road. But a lot of people, what they do is they have a horse, a mule, a donkey, any of the above. So sometimes I'm walking, and I've showed you on video before, and I'll see a man riding a horse, and he'll have a second horse carrying all his stuff. He'll have it carrying food for his animals, food for his house, everything. So that is how people out here get around. So I love that I don't need a car. I love that we have public transportation because we have tuk-tuks and we have motor taxis. We don't have typical taxis here. We don't have typical Ubers here, but we don't really need them because anything you need you can get in a moto taxi or in a tuk-tuk. Yesterday I went to town, took a moto taxi home. They don't always know how much, yet again, they don't always know how much it costs. I never feel like I'm getting taken advantage of here because they'll tell you how much it costs to get to the area, but I live further up, so I live higher in the mountains, so then I give them more than the original price because they drop me off further. It's just like a guessing game sometimes, but you have to have an idea. Like I know how much it costs a tuk-tuk to take me, so I'm gonna minus a little bit because I'm not in a tuk-tuk, I'm in like a motorcycle. So you just kind of give them that, and they're like, okay. And the one thing about living in a small town also is, like, the guy knew where I lived. He's like, oh, so-and-so. I'm like, yeah. So he's like, okay, and he knew. And one of my neighbors is a tuk-tuk driver, so he always knows where I live. But they just it's a small town. It's a small town, there aren't a lot of foreigners, so everyone kind of knows who you are, and I've been here for a year. So, and it's just easy. Like, I see the same people passing me. Yesterday, my neighbor stopped to ask me if I wanted a ride, and it's just common. And you've also have seen people that are passing me and you might have seen people that are passing have two people on them. Everybody here will always have two people, like I said, because they're either giving somebody a ride, or they just go together because maybe one person doesn't have a motorbike, or that's just how they're giving somebody a lift. So for here, it is much different than in the city, because in the city, when you see two people on a motorcycle, you instantly think, oh, they're probably gonna rob me. And chances are high that yes, they might. But also, I feel like people forget that not everybody has a motorcycle. Not everybody has evil intentions. So I have no problem filming and walking, worried that someone is gonna rob me being out here. And I feel that way about every small town. However, small towns in Colombia have their own problems. And if you are Colombian, you already know. I'm not going to talk about it because I'm not an expert. I prefer living in small towns, even though I know there's an underbelly. So you have to just be aware. So yeah. So that is the main ways of transportation here. Oh, I forgot. I should add that some people do have cars, but that is not as common as having a motorcycle. They're more expensive, and you can see these roads are very narrow. And yeah, so not, I mean, in the cities you're gonna see more cars than you are out here. I mean, you're gonna see cars passing me, but the most people who live here, they don't drive cars. There's a car that lives near me, someone who has a car that lives on my road, maybe one or two. But in the US, you know, you see everybody has a car. You have 1, 2, 3 cars. Here, maybe 1 every 3 families has a car. Maybe, I don't know, I just made that up. Hola. I just made that up. But almost everybody, if they can afford it, they'll have a motorcycle. They're much cheaper to fill up, you know. Or like me, you take public transportation. Those are the ways, the main ways that people get around here in rural Colombia. And like I said, my channel is solely based on living in rural Colombia and living in the country with country people. If you are someone who follows this and you're like, Sarah, you're horribly wrong, well, I don't know what to tell you. That is all I have to say, because this is just what I observe. This channel is just on my observations. I never claim to be an expert at anything. I am recording what I observe and see in my experiences. So if you like that, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Talk to y'all later. Bye.